off and running on this Friday edition of Gulfstream Today. So good to have you with us, everybody, as we settle in half a day here with only 10 races on this February the 16th. Ron Nicoletti, Jason Blewett alongside Paddock Set Studios. So here we go, a lot going on, and we're just getting started, Ronnie. This is the beginning, the official beginning of this President's Day weekend.
Yeah, we'll be running Friday, Saturday, and Friday, today, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. So it's 4 days. I was adding up. I thought there was 3, but there's still 4 counting today. And more importantly, today, besides the big carryover in the Rainbow Six, which everybody knows about, it is Beat the Expert Day.
Yeah, Beat the Expert. Play for free. Gulfstreampark.com. We make it easy. Boom. 10 blank spaces. You plug in your winning horse for each of the 10 races today. It's as simple as that. My picks, Ronnie's picks are online, free of charge, 24/7 over at Gulfstreampark.com. So let's have a little fun. As I said on Twitter, I am hitting them with the hind today. I'm feeling good. I like the card. We are fast and firm. The sun is out. And boy, oh boy, do we have a big carryover that's picked up about 150K over the last couple of cards. More on that in just a few seconds. Now, the first major high five wager gets underway in race number 1, the first of 10 today. We've got 3-year-old filly maiden claimers on the turf coming up in your Friday opener, and that is the first high five that coincides with the opening leg of the 50-cent early pick 5, and then 758K plus. We are likely to hit, Ronnie, before it's all said and done today, a cool mill.
Cool mill, and look right there, you'll see race 5. It starts today with that 10 race card, so make sure you get your handicapping done. Usually we have 11, so today starting a little earlier, and of course we end the day with that final pick 5 of the afternoon.
Sounds good. The first of 10, a little after 12:35 p.m. We've got 3-year-old turf filly maiden claimers in race number 1 as we kick off the 4-day weekend, this President's Day weekend of 2018. And judging from my early pick 5 play, I think a lot of people might just be taking a stand and singling the number 4. Kitten's Cover Girl is coming out of a tough loss in a race that I just liked a little better than anybody else's last out race in this Friday first. She was also elevated, I'd say, in terms of a short price with the early scratch of the number 2, Jan 1, who would have vied, I would have to think, for favoritism. She is not running today for Dale Romans. That means Kitten's Cover Girl, a big favorite and an anchor, and an $18 play that saw me go 3 deep in the second, Ronnie. I like that race quite a bit. Dexter's in the mix along with the inside horse for David Fox, Noble Drama. They come out of the same race, and Noble Commander by Forestry.
Yeah, the Noble Commander, $235,000 son of Forestry. So nice race, the second race.
And then we've got a little boys versus the girls in race 3. 5 Colts and Geldings taking on a trio of 3-year-old fillies. That is a good race. I used a couple of speedsters. I trimmed the Dale Romans runner in Tis Pure in race number 4 at the last moment there to keep it below $20. I'll go alone with the number 6 Hansa and the 7 Painter's Boy in the 4th, and then wrapping it up, just give me offshore trip. Good spot for him, and boy, Disruptor looks like the new face wild card X Factor for Christophe Comant and Luis Saez, who is back today at Gulfstream Park after riding Ronnie Magnum Moon to an impressive win fairly late yesterday at Tampa Bay Downs.
Yeah, we watched him crossing the wire, and he just in hand did it easy as he pleased, and should set him up nicely for his future.
Yeah, hopefully it'll be here at Gulfstream Park. Maybe there's some talk of him coming back in the ExpressBet.com Florida Derby on March 31st. Now let's begin that the first of 10, in fact, with my pick 5 out of the way, and talking about the number 4, Kitten's Cover Girl, who lost a tough one last time out. She lost, but she ran almost too good to lose in a race we'll bring you the finale here on January 17th. She was cut down by a perfect trip pulling Ferdinanda, who was getting a big trainer change that afternoon, a Barkley tag with Jose Ortiz riding. Now you do see Kitten's Cover Girl doing all the work on the front end with that big white stripe down the center of her face. Here comes Ferdinanda on the outside, and she will not give an inch. It's not a case of Ferdinanda just having all that momentum and cruising up alongside and winning this one going away. Kitten's Cover Girl dug and dug and dug and stayed on so gamely. I think she might just be a little quicker than these, Ronnie, in the first.
Yeah, cutting back just a tad to 7.5 furlongs, and I think that's really going to help. But we got other horses in the race. The horse I had in second was the 6 Sugar Cody Kitten, who's the daughter of Mancho Uno, debuting on the turf for Jane Sibeli. After finishing 4th, I want to show you a stat on Jane Sibeli. Horse is going with dirt to turf, sprint to route with this horse will be doing today. 5 for 29, 17%, pretty solid. solid, in the money 24% of the time, but I was enamored with the big return of investment. So she had a bomber doing that one day, but boy, Sugar Coated Kitten's going to have to offer its best to beat the number 4 horse in there, Kitten's Cover Girl.
Jane Sabelli, by the way, might have a big day today at Gulfstream Park. She has Appa coming up down the road, I think race number 6 or 7. She also has Painter's Boy, who's likely going favored in the back end of this early pick 5, or race number 4, rather, Painter's Boy. Anyway, let's move on to race number 2, my friend. The second race, we hit the main track. We go with the field of 5 in this Florida-bred 3-year-old maiden special weight. The early scratch of the number 3, very amusing, almost leaves this race into 2 distinct camps. We've got the rematch runners, who are both second-time starters, well-connected second-time starters, coming out of the 9th race on January 20th. That includes Noble Drama, who's got the relation on the female side of his pedigree to Big Drama, and your top pick, the number 4, Dexter, against the pair of first-time starters in Noble Commander and the number 5, I Turn a Night Up, who I saw was a 9-5 favorite on the morning line. I'm wondering if maybe morning line guru Jay Stone heard a word or two that that firster by Artie Schiller could run a bit, but you're taking one that's got some experience, and I thought Dexter had a good race first time out.
Yeah, I think this horse should be primed and ready to offer more after making that 4-wide move last time out to finish 4th. Its career debut at this level and distance. Ralph Nix is the trainer. Tyler Gaffleone has just been riding in that zone. I thought that was the logical one with the previous experience, but you know, you mentioned a couple of really nice first-time starters in here.
Including a rarity, and that is Being by Forestry. There just aren't a ton of them around. He's now standing in Brazil. I'm glad he's still alive. He's 22 years old. In my analysis today, or my program journal page, whatever you want to call it, I wrote about Forestry and just being a big fan of his way back when in 1999, when he was one of the best 3-year-olds of his generation. And just to dig a little deeper on the number 2 Noble Commander, we have a little backstory here. The Blewitz Bullets with this colt by Forestry, who in that Facing Tipton March of 17 sale wound up breezing a furlong in 10-1. A good-looking work that I watched yesterday, and no surprise, he was the only colt or filly by Forestry to sell in that Facing Tipton sale here last spring. Now, the dam's still fairly young. She's 11. She won a couple of dirt sprints. This is her 3rd full, and you've got both siblings who haven't done a whole heck of a lot as far as grabbing major headlines, but they're both minor winners, and they've had success on dirt and synthetic. So I also think, as I wrap things up with Noble Commander, Ronnie, you've got Mark Casse, who over the last few cards here at Gulfstream Park, he's got a total of 5 wins.
Well, let me give you a stat on Mark Casse with 3-year-old first-time starters, maiden special weight. 6 for 41, 15%, 39% in the money, and a little over $1.35 return of investment. So we'll see how Noble Commander runs. We gave you everything you could possibly need to know about that horse.
All right, and we'll see how Noble Drama does. We've got a couple of kittens in the opener and a couple of nobles in race number 2. As we move on to Friday's 3rd, we are back on the turf going 5 furlongs in this 3-year-old $25,000 starter optional claimer. And as I worked my way through the PPs and looking at the likes of the one Make Me Proud and the 2 Roses in the South, I said, wow, I didn't see fillies in the condition.
Right.
But, you know, it's a race for it's an open 3-year-old race, and that is kind of the neat underlining or silver lining to this Friday 3rd, in which you've got 3 fillies in Make Me Proud, the Speedy Roses in the South, and Super Witch in off a maiden victory, running against a handful of colts and geldings. So a little male versus female matchup in the 3rd today.
Well, I guess I was a little chauvinistic by putting the number 4 Non-Such on top of my ticket, dropping a notch on the optional claiming scale after following that $25,000 maiden score at the distance. Comes back, stalks the pace that afternoon, weekends. That was a 35 optional claimer going 7/8. Bobby DeBona claimed his horse a couple of start back. Irad Ortiz Jr. in the saddle. 4-win day yesterday, so Non-Such on top of my ticket. But I did use some of those fillies on my ticket also.
I think you have to respect the speed of Roses in the South. In fact, you got a couple of the colts 1st and 2nd, and then the fillies 3rd and 4th in your super.
Right.
And you do have that big early speed from Roses in the South. But what won me over with Non-Such, who we clearly both picked first in this 3rd race, is the fact that the 7 Little Plumber is going to, at least theoretically, is supposed to take the race right to the 2 Roses in the South.
Yeah, and I mean, this one should be going as soon as they pop the gate latch. It's Kathleen O'Connell. She has Jose Ortiz as brother. Irad sticks with Non-Such. such. So we got musical brother jockeys in this one.
And you mentioned Erad coming out of a 4-win Thursday. That gives him a meet total of 41, the same as Jose. So we'll see who can take the advantage in the standings as the Ortiz brothers, considering they didn't get here until almost a month into this championship meet. It's pretty incredible just how quickly they have climbed the ladder.
Yeah, and to our benefit, they really ride great and everything like that. That nasty New York weather sent Irad right down here.
No doubt. All right, on to race number 4. We are back on the dirt here as we get ready to wrap up the first segment of Gulfstream today, and we do so with a group of 3-year-old 35K maiden claimers. Half a dozen set the battle in this one after Dale Romans, who had entered 2, scratched the number 3 Sweet Cruisin'. And of the 2 Romans horses, that was the one that scared me. As I said, I wound up trimming the number 5 Tis Pure from my ticket, and getting back to Jane Sabelli, who you had the good stat on in race number 1. She could be sitting on a 3-win day at the minimum here at Gulfstream Park, because I'll tell you, Painter's Boy is the starting point. I know he's had more opportunity and therefore more chances than anybody else in here, but he's also run consistently fast.
Yeah, and he moved to Jane's barn today after that claim, turns back to 3/4 after getting beat 3/4 a length. He was the 4-5 favorite that afternoon, was going 7 furlongs. Jose Ortiz in the saddle. I think he's a logical contender in there. We got our exacta flip-flop. I went with the number 6 Hunza on top of my ticket.
Who, I mean, was way behind the 8 ball. We will show you the head-on view of his debut here back on January 5th, and they opened up the starting doors. He's the number 3, obviously beneath the blue number there, and it was just a disaster. You talk about a start being the most important part of a race. He tossed his head, he was off slow, he got sandwiched a bit, he's completely out of the race. He passed some tired horses in a gapped out field to finish 3rd, more of a suck-up 3rd, but a good building block, I think, type effort. And I'm encouraged that he was scratched last week, and he was a vet scratch for 25K maiden, and shows up here for maiden 35.
Well, we'll give you a little homework. You know, he was 3rd behind a couple of next out winners, one Admiral Kiss, the other one being Little Plumber, who's in the 3rd race today. So it's the old key race angle. Watch how Little Plumber runs in that race, and maybe you move Hansa up just another notch.
Yeah, even though that's a turf race, that horse coming in off a big race. Absolutely. Yeah. I think Hansa is a major player here, and I think as a whole, Eddie Plesa Jr. just has strong numbers with second-time starters, especially maiden claimers. So we'll see how Painter's Boy and Hansa do against that 6-horse field in race number 4. And with that opening 4 down, we'll set our sights on Friday's Rainbow. We'll talk about it after this.
At ExpressBet, we celebrate the champions that make horse racing great. That's why we provide more ways to bet from more places than ever. We've built an entire family of brands to give players more of the rewards they deserve, give bettors the information they need to win, and provide a community for horse bettors. Because the best way to support the champions of horse racing is to champion horse racing. ExpressBet, we are racing.
Pennsylvania, proud of our growing breeding and racing industry. Tens of thousands of jobs with a massive economic impact. Now, North America's most lucrative awards program will pay a 50% breeder award for PA-sired, PA-bred maidens who run 1st, 2nd, or 3rd, with 25% for non-PA-sired PA-breds. Plus, up to 40% in owner bonuses, 400-plus restricted races, and our program has paid out $30 million for the 6th straight year. Breeding and racing in Pennsylvania, it's a winner.
And we're back trying to come up with some winners on this live Friday edition of Gulfstream today. Could not have asked for a more idyllic, picture-perfect Friday in Howlandale Beach for thoroughbred racing. It's Ronnie and Jason, and again, delighted to have your company as we explore today's Rainbow Six, Ronnie. And I've been amazed even the last couple of cards picking up again about 150,000 in the carryover.
And yesterday I said there's no way there could be a single, and of course there was one single in the last race. So a very interesting 6 races today.
920K to that single.
Yeah. Imagine that, 920,000. That's right. So interesting 6 races here. I want to show you my ticket real quickly, and I want to talk about someone in race 8. You've been mentioning Jane Sabelli, but you forgot to mention the main one today, and that's my long shot. The 7 My Tie went on, who's hoping to get away from the gate in a good fashion. Got bumbled at the start last time out. Tyler Gaffleone fruitful third start back from the layoff, so I threw that one on my ticket.
Okay.
12-1 on the morning line. So
Nice.
Jane might have 4 winners today.
Yeah, she's locked and loaded for this Friday, February the 16th, as we start President's Day weekend at Gulfstream. Again, just as a friendly reminder, a live racing card on Monday that will be drawn, in fact, this afternoon, and that includes the Grade 2 Royal Delta, and we're looking forward. I believe we'll have that matchup and rematch between Lewis Bay and Curlin's Approval from the, might have been the Sugar Swirl here a few weeks ago.
Yeah, I know that Happy told me he's entering his horse, of course, and that's we'll see how it plays out. Should be drawn a little later this afternoon. Lots of fun. So not only do we race Monday, we got graded stakes action on Monday.
Yeah, nice little surprise there as our sister track a little up north and a lot colder. Laurel Park has their winter racing carnival with the General George and Barbara Fritchie tomorrow afternoon. So what are we doing? We talked about your Rainbow Six, and you have got, I think, the right horse on top. In fact, it's a 6'8" cold exacta for Ronnie and I. In fact, 6'8", 7'5", right to the hoop. You heard it here first, folks. I had a hard time getting cute with some of the bigger priced horses in here, and to me, this is hands down the best spot Offshore Trip has been in on turf.
And Ned, you saw my ticket. I had to go 3 deep, and I think we got the logical 3, and would not be surprised if any one of these 3 won. But Offshore Trip is turning back to 5 furlongs, made that middle move and faded when facing similar, going a mile in the 16th. I want to show you a stat on trainer Alan Goldberg. With horses going from route to sprint on the turf course, he's 8 for 43, 19%. 49% in the money, $1.80 return of investment. So he does a good job. And I just thought, like you did, this was the logical spot for Offshore Trip. But I would not leave Disruptor off any ticket whatsoever.
I went too deep in this race, and I feel comfortable that they're quite simply the right 2 horses, and most people are going to come up with the same 2. Offshore Trip cutting back, and then you've got the wild card and X Factor in the 8 Disruptor. The negative is he's been a non-factor in all 5 career starts. However, I would venture to guess he has not faced a field this soft before, even though he's run a couple of times out of town for Christophe Command. You got the connections, and if you do want the wild card, I think he fills that space here with Luis Saez, who will look to build upon those 91 victories.
Yeah, and there's a lot of answers, questions to be answered. They're taking the blinkers off, they're trying everything, but the connections alone makes you use this horse in the ticket. And Dominic, the number 7, who we both have in third, trying to notch that elusive maiden victory, 18 starts. This might be the spot where the horse can get it done, but I got him put in for a minor award. That's why
he always seems to pick up a minor piece, which is good if you're playing tries or the high 5 or the super. He's had so many chances. It's hard for me to see him getting the victory over Offshore Trip and Disruptor in race 5. As we flip the script, we're on to the final 5 today, and the late pick 5 does begin in Friday's 6th, an older $16,000 claimer at 7.5 furlongs on the turf. I used a couple here to start my late pick 5, and down the road, did you take the Cassie horse in race number 10 this afternoon, that second-time starter? Got a pretty fast buyer first time out. Yep, March to the Arch.
March to the Arch, right on top. Tulsa Jack, I got some interest in, too. So we'll see how that horse does, Jonathan Thomas. But certainly here we're a little different on our selections. I was just looking back. I did not use the 5. I have to go check this out.
Well, now, Cassie's runner in the 10th, and Mark may win the 2nd. I'm hoping with Noble Commander, and I'm hoping he wins the last, obviously. He's got 5 wins over the last 9 racing cards here at Gulfstream Park, and his horses have just torn up the track. They are running so well. The 9th race gave me fits. I used 3 there. I would spread and use as many as you can afford in the 9th. That's my advice. Spread like crazy. For me, the 8th race is all about that key rematch from January 25th, in which Salute the Colonel had the worst trip of anybody. The 3 that are coming out of that key January 25th opener. I'm looking at Sumner for trainer Todd Pletcher to come back and run well in race 7. I think he's got more improvement, and he'll need it. But I think he gives it to you today in his 3rd lifetime start. And 4, 5, 10 for me in race number 6, Ronnie, that I obviously and candidly says this might just be the toughest race on the card this afternoon. And I do see you like a logical player who was one of the 3 I used in that late 5 in Sportscaster, who picks up Erad.
Yeah, he let everyone know he was a major player at this level, and when he used his tactical speed to defeat 16 claimers, going a mile in the 16th. Dale Romans, Erad Ortiz Jr. handling the turnback. The 7.5 furlongs. Was on an outside post last week. They scratched him out. Coming back today, Sportscaster. So I thought he was the logical one. But you mentioned earlier, Appa for Jane Sibeli, one you got to look at.
Real nice win last time out. We'll check it out on January 24th. Now, this horse, by I think every sense of the phrase, got a perfect trip and perfect ride beneath Luis Saez, taking advantage of basically two runoff duelers. You can see the result of those two duelers, the 10 and 7. 7 is completely empty here, but the 10 Prue, who was 30-1, ran an absolutely gigantic race. But in the case of the 4 Appa and those white blinkers and yellow sleeves, he's the only one that made up significant ground there at crunch time, and he finished up really gamely in this race. And to be honest, Ronnie, the more I looked around, I don't see a whole heck of a lot of difference between this restricted claimer for the 3 lifetimes that he beat Prue in a good effort and a good chunk of the field this afternoon.
Yeah, and Luis Saez is in the saddle, and if you've been watching Gulfstream Park this winter, you know just how strong Luis Saez is through the stretch. I think it sets up perfectly. Appa's certainly on my ticket along with Sportscaster.
Now, Favorite Air is a horse that's run 3 times off the claim for drawing away an Eric Guillot, and he's basically been a non-factor in all 3 of those races. I'm going to give him one more chance today, though, Ronnie, because I like that race that he's coming out of. I talked about in that late pick 5 that key rematch from January 25th, and that is the centerpiece, I think, the main subplot in today's 8th race. And he's one of the horses that ran in that very tough opening race on January 25th. We'll agree to disagree on the late traffic comment. I didn't see much traffic in that race. I wrote no response, but I think as a whole, he's been keeping a notch or two better in terms of overall field depth and overall quality. I think this is the best spot forever. Favorite Air, that is, rather, has been in quite some time. As we turn the page, we'll get on to race number 7. We're back on the main. These are 2 lifetime older claimers ready to roll here, and we will go with a field of 8. Oh, wow, you took some there. I thought I was being maybe a bit of a wise guy, because this horse beat very little last time out for maiden 12-5 and is going to have to run faster and better to defeat the likes of Valdaco, 3-Star Stone, maybe even a little Gregory Sun, and thought maybe I was being a little cheeky. But what do you like about Sumner?
Stepping up to face winners after responding to both the surface switch and the drop down into the bottom with a 12-5 maiden score going a mile. It's Todd Pletcher, Luis Saez handling the turn back today to 7 furlongs. I just thought off that performance last time out in the logical spot against this level of competition, I put it on top of my ticket.
I feel as though as he cuts back slightly from 8 to 7, he may also get a really good setup in this race with Valdaco playing out as a potential inside speed. Number 5, 3-Star Stone isn't that slow, and I would imagine the 7, Gregory Sun, who's in for the 30, will be up close to the pace as well. And a case of me also arguing that Todd Pletcher knows where to spot these horses, and he's got terrific numbers. By the way, bats 30% with a 162 horse and starter sample, with last out maiden winners returning in claiming races. And basically the bulk of that statistic and the sample, they're all horses who broke their maidens in claiming races. You rarely see a horse go from a special weight immediately into claiming company. So I think that stat, again at 30%, works really well for the 4 Sumner. Now the 3 Valdaco, another Sibeli runner, man, she is locked and loaded. I mean, 5 legit contenders, and she's off the claim after losing to a speed freak last time. Where'd that race come from with Mr. Joshua?
Mr. Joshua, and I've just been watching Jane. She's claimed so many houses over the last couple of weeks. This one stretches out to 7/8. Return from Laos, finished second, going 6.5. That was that wet track that they listed as good. Sumner, Valdaco, once again, my ticket, you saw her. I used all 3 in race number 7.
Do you like Mr. Joshua in the Saturday opener? I think that's the first starter stakes we have here tomorrow. I think it's the $50,000 Trust Buster. Do you like him?
I think I had him in second.
Yeah.
I think I have him in second.
Little Fire Mission on top?
I think so, yeah.
Fire Mission, yeah. There's
hard to remember, I just finished Sunday, so I have to go back and check everything out
again. A lot of racing here, but I'll tell you, that is a true blue Saturday card with 12 races and a number of tough veterans spread throughout the day here tomorrow as the holiday weekend continues. And this show, in the meantime, continues with my favorite race on the card. I like this 8th race quite a bit, and I am actually happy to hear that your long shot of the day is in this Florida bred, other than allowance optional claimer on the turf. at 7.5 furlongs. And let's talk about my tie one on as we get back to trainer Jane Sabelli. And you can take it away with your long shot, who's coming out of a loss against Driven by Thunder and Thuristic.
Yeah, she's hoping to get away from the gate trouble-free. She hopped, she bobbled at the start. Making a bid at the quarter pole and finished 6 against Simmerla. It's Tyler Gaffleone, usually fruitful third start back from the layup. Looking for a bit of a price today, 12-1. My tie one on, maybe can upset the apple cart. Now, this by far is the most competitive race on the car. So I went 4 deep in my analysis. My tie went on, but I really went back. The horse that if I had to put him on top, horse you didn't use at all is the old Charlie Mops. He's plunging to a level where he's very, very dangerous.
Yeah, he's back in. I mean, geez, I don't think he's run as cheap as 16. If he hasn't done it in a while is my point. It might be ever. I did not look at his career record with the 19 lifetime starts, but boy, taking 2 back for 35K, Edgar Zayas fits him to a T. You want the speed, it'll be Charlie Mops. The drop, it's so aggressive, even for Luch, was a little disconcerting with me. And I love that you and I just see this race in a different fashion. You're more towards the outside. I preferred horses that ran in that January 25th race. And as far as the most intriguing trip in that spot, I think it belongs to Salute the Colonel, and we'll show you the traffic woes and trouble that he had on the turn last time out beneath Erod Ortiz Jr. A case of him in the pink cap and the green sleeves of the Generazio stables, and you can see Erod just nowhere to go, steadying. He's in the worst spot of all, trying to keep his position in and among horses. Now, if we could just freeze it here, the ride that the winner in this race got, Matanzas Inlet, he was 8-1 and ran, that's his price right there. He got an unbelievable ride. Here comes Salute the Colonel. And you've also got Thuristic out here, who I'm going to give and I'm going to talk about in just a few seconds. He was out there in no man's land, 4 wide basically around the track that day. Now, we'll roll it from there, and you'll see Salute the Colonel, split horses gamely, and basically follow the winner. All in all, though, this was another solid effort for a horse, Ronnie, who clearly seems that he has just found his best stride this winter at this meet for trainer Joe Orsino.
Yeah, he's been running very well in there. And then once again, getting back to this, that's where my tie one on comes out of that same race. So a lot of horses I thought had early trouble. So we'll see how this thing plays out. But you went with Thuristic.
I went with Thuristic because I liked him last time, and his day was done early when he couldn't get over, and he was unable. You're not going to win many races here, basically going 4 to 5 wide around both turns in a 2-turn turf race, and that was the trip that he pulled. He had been so good at ascending class levels before that last start. He picks up Zayas today, so let me give him one more chance, and he's probably going to be a little higher than that 4 to 1 that he was last time out in that Salute the Colonel race with Bowtie Affair. Let's move on to race number 9 as we head down to the late double. This will go as the final dirt event on the card, a 3 lifetime 6250 claimer. Peter Walder's got Charlie Mops in the race prior. He has got the plummeting Cotton Colors. Well, not plummeting so much. He ran last time for 62.50. The only thing that was plummeting was his running line from basically vying for the lead all the way to the back, beating about 40 lengths. But the fact that Walder comes back with Jaramillo, cuts this horse back to 5.5, I'm going to bite here with the number 2 Cotton Colors.
I got him on the ticket, but I got to see more from that barn over the next couple of days before I put him on top. But I did go with the number 9, Unleash him on top, turning back to 5.5. Duel for the lead, finished hard-fought second that afternoon when facing similar going quality that was going 3/4. It's Jorge Navarro. He keeps it light. He's got the apprentice Abby Medina in the saddle. To me, it just means speed. This horse is going to be on the front end. Illustrious Sun on my ticket along with Night Rhythm.
All right, sounds good. Illustrious Sun makes a lot of sense, as does the speed of the Florida bred in Unleash him for Jorge Navarro. Picked up yet another win yesterday with 23 and counting at the meet. He runs no fewer than 13, the old baker's dozen for Navarro, and another baker's dozen for Mike Maker, who, boy, they have those starter stakes on Saturday's card surrounded.
Yeah, I mean, they must know a lot of presidents to have that. They're all named, the races are all named for presidents, so it's part of our President's Day weekend. But, boy, it is really 12 competitive races from race 1 right to race 12.
Now, we're shorter Friday here on this February 16th. I'm sure you're aware by now there's only 10 today, and the nightcap goes as a Florida-bred 3-year-old maiden special weight at 7.5 furlongs. The White Hot recent streak of Mark Casse. I'm hoping it continues with March to the Arch, who's one of a couple coming out of the 7th race here on February 3rd. Despite the fact this horse was basically a non-factor at 8-1, checking in 5th, the race came up fast on Beyer, and I'm anxious to see what this gelding by Arch can do. I would also give a look, though, to the 8th Salsa Jack, who's got JT and TG teaming up.
Yeah, he's a gelded son of Two-Step Salsa, debuting for trainer Jonathan Thomas. I want to show you a stat on Jonathan Thomas. This is just over the last year. First-time starters on the turf. He's 3 for 11, 27%. 45% in the money, $2.21. The reason I did it, he hasn't been out on his own. I didn't want to go back 5 years. Just over the last year, he's done very well. It's hard to find stats with him spread out. He's an excellent trainer. I think this horse is going to run well, but I'm with you with March to the Arch on top. And I use Betamax, where, you know, now in the Kieran McLaughlin bomb, which you don't see that type of move very much.
Yeah, Florida-bred 3-year-old turf maiden. Yes, you don't see this kind of trainer change all that often. Going from one top barn to another, though, grab motion to Kieran as that horse comes in off a 4.5-month layoff, and certainly has to be considered a major player here in race number 10. So riders, we just got a near live look. They are gearing up and getting those whips and saddles ready for race number 1 as we set sail on this Friday, February 16th. Ronnie and I with you all day long right outside the paddock here at beautiful Gulfstream Park. And our man upstairs, who's downstairs, Pete Aiello, is coming up next with Scratches and Changes.